Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nev's Garage. Now, if this is your first time joining us here on our channel, please hit that subscribe button and also toggle on the little notification bell. That way, YouTube will notify you when our next great video comes out. Don't click anything though right now because we've got a great episode here. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be tearing down this aircon compressor out of our GF8 WRX. Not fully rebuilding the actual compressor itself, but we're going to be removing a noisy bearing off the front, replacing it, fully cleaning the unit up, refitting it. It's going to be real simple. Show you how to do it step by step. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first of all, let's take the battery terminal off, the negative, so that we can't short anything. We'll just take it off and we'll insulate it with a rag like that. Alright, so now next we're going to take the belt covers off the front here. Okay, like that. Next we're just going to drop the belts off. So first we just loosen the alternator, so undo the pinch bolt. We've already undone the pivot bolt here because this mount is clamped underneath it. So this one here now. Boom. Now we can undo the wiring on the alternator. Alright, so number 10 on top there. We're going to do it just by hand. Now hold the terminal as we undo it because we don't want it to twist inside the alternator. That's that one. And now the connector on the back of the alternator here. Okay, that's the wiring for the alternator removed. Now we'll just take the pivot bolt right out. Make sure you grab the bracket at the back so you don't lose it down on the engine block. And out she comes. There's the alternator out. Alrighty, cool. Okay, time for the air conditioning belt. So we need to undo the tensioner pulley down here, down the front here. Now next thing we need to do is clean around the gas inlet and outlet pipes of the AC compressor, okay, because we don't want any grit going inside it when we undo them. I'm going to give them a good brush, and we're going to give them a really good vacuum, and we're going to hit the areas with compressed air with both our straight and our right angle nozzles. Okay, now we're going to clean the area with some brake cleaner, okay, before we undo the bolts, to really give it a good wash. And we're going to hit them with a little wire brush. So I'm going to be able to clean around this block a lot more once I take this mounting bolt out, because this little bracket is held on by it. There we go. So you can see the front of that fitting now. And then another charge of their air blowers. So I think we'll undo the pipes now. Alright, so I'm just going to leave them in there finger tight for now. Now I'll take our rag off. And we're just going to undo our bottom mount bolt, which is straight down there. So, now there we go. Out she comes. Alright, so now just need to take this one out. Yep. Alright, so next we're going to take our hoses off. Now this system's been decommissioned. It's had the gas taken out of it responsibly. So it's got nothing in it, okay? So it's not pressurized, so we can just undo them. So they just slip apart like that. Now we want to seal them straight up again so that no debris gets in the system. Alright, so we're going to use this Gorilla gaffer tape because it's really sticky and it's really heavy duty, so just going to take some off the roll and put it straight over the port. of the compressor. Like that. And also around the pipe. Right, and then we'll tuck him out of the way. Like that. Okay, same with this one. I'm actually going to vacuum around this bolt hole before I tape this one up because it's got some rust debris there. Okay, so now our wiring loom, just unclip the clutch and also get it right out of the way. Okay, now we've got to get the bottom bolts, which are down in there. They're going to be a little trickier than the others, but we should be okay. Let's see how we go. That one loose. Go into this one with a little less offset. I reckon we can use our piston pumper gear wrench ratchet down in that one. Put him down in there like this. Yep. That's magic, hey? How cool is that? Pump it! So when Bay says, don't you think you've got enough tools? Say, yeah, but it's always good to have more because that piston pumper probably saved us a lot of headache. And so did our little Stumpy. It's nice to have these little toys tucked away for when you need them. Okay, now we should be able to lift that unit out now. Let's get my spinner off. And that whole unit comes out. Yippee-ki-yay! Alright, so here's our compressor. So first of all, we're going to pull the clutch off the front of it so that when we clean the unit down we're not going to put on any rubbish on the clutch facings. So just going to rip this 10mm out of the centre like that. Alright, so now I'm going to use this puller that I've made up, which is just a plate of steel with 3 holes in it which match up to these in the clutch front. Just going to screw a bolt in the front here, and then we got 3 M5 bolts and screw them into the front and just wind them down now. Keep them even, and that will pull the clutch off the front. There we go. Now just take that off. Okay, there's the clutch plate off. There's our pulley, there's our bearing in there we need to replace. And now we've just got to get that unit off. So let's start by giving it a good clean. Let's put a bit of Lanox around it, at least get it soaking. Okay, so we're going to set a circlip pliers in there now and take the circlip off. Thankfully, saw where it went. Alright, so what I've done is I've just cut some wood, and then we're going to sit around the compressor against the bottom of the pulley like this. Then we're going to turn it upside down, and it stands on the timber while we press the pulley off, or press the compressor out of the pulley. So I'm just going to get some masking tape to hold the wood in place. I'm going to put an extra bit here as well, so we get as much purchase on the pulley as possible. Okay, cool. So over to the hydraulic press now. Alright, so we're just going to put a old bearing center in the middle and a flat plate on top of that. And then start pressing. Right, so we're going to change now to this is a 1-inch socket. Alright, so the back of the compressor's bottomed out on the press now, so I reckon that's going to be enough to get that pulley off by hand. So let's back that press off and take our compressor away. Okay, you can see now that it's pretty much almost pressed all the way off. So I think now a couple of bumps with a poly hammer. And off she comes. Alright, so there's our compressor. You can just leave it chilling there. You can see the coil still on there. And there's our pulley. Alright, so here's our pulley with our bearing in it. Now we're going to press this out now. Now you'll notice that the original bearing has crimped in. Okay, it's been peened over. And she's out. Cool. There's our old bearing. Awesome. Alright, so there's our bearing. And here's our pulley. And you can see where those crimps have bent over when the pulley got pushed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give them a bit of a buzz with the die grinder, just so a new bearing doesn't catch them on the way in. Alright, so there we go. You can see there that I've just deburred that edge, got rid of the remaining crimps, and give the pulley a real nice cleanup as well. So we're ready to put the new bearing in. Alright, so over to the press. Alright, so here's our pulley now. Now I'm just going to give it a heat up with the heat gun, which will expand this housing a little bit. Okay, then we get our new bearing. Now this bad boy's been in the freezer for about an hour, and that would have made him a little teeny tiny bit smaller, so when we go to press it in, it's going to go in a lot easier. Okay, we're just got to make sure our bearing goes in square, and away we go. And that appears to be it. There it is. It's in there. Alright, so now we're going to put some more crimps around here again to make it pretty original. Now, I'm going to use a center punch and a big lump hammer. Now what we need to be careful of course, is that we don't hit the seal or the bearing itself, okay? So we're just going to give it a really good peen, one at a time, just one blow, and then just work around it. Alright, so there we are. It's been peened again, so that bearing's retained in there nice and securely, so that the pulley won't walk out from it. Okay, sweet. Alright, so next we're going to take the clutch coil off the front so that when we wash the unit down we don't get any brake cleaner or dirt inside the clutch coil. Alright, that's the coil off. Now we can clean the unit up. Alright guys, well there she is. She's all cleaned up now. Ready to put back together. So first of all, we need to put the clutch coil on. So he sits on there like that. Okay, now put our little wiring rail on. Now we're ready for our drive pulley. Okay, so we've cleaned him up. I've given him a coat of paint around the front here to make it look all purity. So we're ready to press that on now. So what we're going to do, just going to spray the snout with a bit of Lennox. And then sit our pulley on there like that. Okay, that's got him started on there. And now we take it over to the press. Okay, so in she goes. Got a block of wood on the bottom here so it sits straight. And away we go. That's it, it's all the way home. Alright guys, there it is. Nice. Okay, so now we just got to put the circlip on the front. Let it flying away, hopefully. Just make sure it is seated in the groove. Cool. Alright, now the front clutch plate. So he just slides in here like this. Find the spline. And we're just going to give him a bit of a knock. Like that. Now we start with a longer bolt to pull the clutch in. Make sure we don't bottom it out. Now we put our real bolt in there and drive it home. She's back together. Okay, so now we put our mount bolts back in and put that aside ready to fit. Alright, so let's get our pipes ready for action. So let's untape the Gorilla tape that's been keeping dirt and debris out of them. Now a clean rag and some brake cleaner, and we're just going to get all the adhesive off. Oh yeah. Okay, another clean rag with brake cleaner. Now we're going to very carefully clean the underside of the pad mount. And just to make sure there's no adhesive or dirt on here. Okay guys, so now some nice new air conditioning specific O-rings. And we're going to fit them onto the pipes. See? Cool. I think we're ready for a compressor. Alright, so we've got our pipes just pushed out of the way a little. I've put a smear of Lennox around the O-rings because there's always time for lube. And I think we're set up to drop our compressor in. So we've got all our mounting bolts push through the housings because we can't put them through later. And we've also got some anti-seize grease on the threads because they're screwing into aluminium. Now we're going to feed this down through here very carefully, like that. Okay, cool. I'm going to start some threads now. Now remember, we've got open aircon ports, so we're not going to put any grit in them, guys, okay? Okay, now this one down here is going to be the tricky one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the pipes now. Nothing a few zip ties won't fix. Alright, that'll keep them out of the way. Now if you're doing this job in a dusty environment like a panel shop, you're going to have to keep these pipes plugged. We don't have any dust flying around, so it's going to be all good. Now we've got to try and get that bolt in. See it down in there. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to take the compressor back out and we're going to put it in with the spanner on that bolt. Alright, so I've got my piston pumper gear wrench ratchet spanner sitting on that bolt now. Which hopefully I'm going to be able to get out afterwards. Now this one should be in the right place. Okay, before I go too much further, I'm going to put that bolt in there. Make sure it doesn't get locked out. Just get him started. Okay, it's working, it's getting there. Cool, that bolt's all run in now. How cool is that? Such a great little spanner. Okay, so now I'll just finish running all the rest in. Alright, so we're just going to tighten all the bolts up now and then put the hoses on. So what we're going to do is tighten all 5, and then this one needs to be backed off to get this pad fitting on. So no, that's plenty for the aircon compressor. So now I'm just going to undo this bolt. Now the compressor's positioned properly, and it's time for our hoses and our loom. So our loom goes through here like this, and then we just let our hoses go. And just check everything. Wiring loom's in there, hoses there, hoses there. Cool, now we just push them down into the compressor gently. Boom, and boom, and put the retainers in, which we've cleaned up all nicely, so there's no scale on them. They're both the same, by the way. Okay, and then just tighten them up. Now remember, they're only into aluminium and they do have lock washers on them, so we're just gonna make them nice and firm. Like that. That's them. Now we can finish off this bolt. Run him back in. Cool. Compressor's in there, guys. How cool is that? And look how clean it is. It looks really tidy. Alright, so now just got to throw our alternator back in and all the belts and stuff, and we've got it back assembled. Alright, so here's our alternator going back in now. bracket on the back with the captive nut and the pivot bolt, and just run him up a bit. Like that. Still loose, okay, so it can pivot. Now our pinch bolt and tensioner assembly. Okay, so grease the thread of this bad boy, okay, because you don't want this seizing up. Down through here, and then our pinch bolt. Got some EDCs on it because it screws into the alternator casting. Okay, and leave it so it can slide. Like that, lovely, lovely. Alright, so now our belts can go on. So obviously our aircon belt goes on first. Okay, that'll do for now till we get the alternator belt on. So it goes on now. Reckon that's okay. Our aircon needs to be a little tighter though. Alright, now we tighten up all our pivots and pinch bolts. Okay, nice. So now our wiring loom. So here we go. Plug our aircon clutch plug back in. Click. And then our regulator plug goes around the side here. Boom, like that. And then our 12-volt feed. Alright, so you're going to want to make sure that this one's nice and clean. So we're going to give it a really good wire brush. A bit of dielectric grease doesn't go astray either. And then we're ready to put it on the output stud. So it goes down like that. Get our spring washer and our nut. And I'm just going to do this very gently because we don't want to snap off what's inside of the alternator. So make sure you hold the terminal so it doesn't twist. Tighten it up and put our insulator back on. Alright, cool. So just our belt covers now and we're done. So remember our alternator and power steering cover actually goes under the alternator pivot bolt, so we need to undo it again. And just loosen it. Run our pivot bolt up again. Now our plastic cover just slips over top like this. Cool. Alright, so now let's reconnect the battery. Lovely. Alright guys, well, that's it. You can really see how easy it is to replace a noisy bearing on the front of a Subaru Air Conditioning Compressor. Easy as. So thank you for staying to the end of the video. Now please be kind to the next viewer and rewind it, ready for them. Please keep liking, sharing and subscribing to our videos on our channel. But that's it. Until next time, I'm Nev, this is my garage, and I'll see you around. Oh, whoops, forgot to mention, make sure you take it in, get it recharged with gas, otherwise it ain't going to be doing anything. See ya.